It's Rusty Diamond, motherfucker.
Yo, man. Boom, Miss Rusty. I hope that stopped there. You didn't have to listen to any more of intro music. Thank you for coming and joining the podcast, the public access podcast here on the Quantum Global Broadcasting Network, QGBN, with other great shows such as When the Gloves Come Off, the Thinking Man's Pro Wrestling Podcast. This is it with Lizzie and Saved by the Ben. And the show is brought to you by Stone Reeds Productions. Hypnosis is great. Hardcore comedy. Suckemup.org. And Fred Ben Savage as fuck. And so thank you everyone for being here so much. Monday is one of my favorite days, besides Sunday morning, just because I like having the open road. And yeah, thank you everyone for being here. And today I'm bringing on a special guest because it's Special Guest Monday, everyday special guest. I'm going to bring on my special guest right here, right now. We have Dr. Laurel Mines. How you doing?
Good morning. Good to see you, Rusty. Thanks for having me today.
Likewise. Yes, good to have you here. So, okay, so you're a physical therapist, is that right?
That's right. Yeah, I do physical therapy. I do performance training for athletes, and then I also do mental performance coaching for athletes as well.
So what is mental performance coaching for athletes?
Yeah, so mental performance coaching for athletes is teaching them a foundation from, how your brain works, from neuroscience. I use neuroscience to help you understand how your brain works in order to really use that as a foundation for performance in the mental world and not just the physical world. And it can make a really big difference in someone's game.
Yeah, and I feel that between different, not every physical therapist is the same and has the same level of success with their clients. I've been in lots of different physical therapies, and I've had different results with a lot. One of them recently I won't mention, but the people were very old in there, and I did not get a lot out of that one. So I ended up leaving that one. But the ones that I have had, I feel have, I don't know, I feel like when physical therapists explain stuff to you more about why and what seems to be, I get a better output in it. And usually with more muscle manipulation of sorts and be able to, work on whatever it is. As opposed to, I had ones where it's basically anything I could do at home. And I feel as much as those are important to have, I feel like I want to have some extra so I can do those at home still, but I don't want to go in and do that week after week, the same thing there, and not be able to get anything extra out of it. What's kind of your approach with this?
Rusty, I'm so glad you brought this topic up because it is a topic that a lot of people are dealing with. And I want to say that physical therapy is a really amazing profession in this, physical medicine realm. There's lots of different options when we go look at, medical options, as far as orthopedic stuff, injuries, pain, there is medication for pain and inflammation. There's injections, which is more medication. There's surgical interventions, and then there's physical interventions like physical therapy, chiropractor, acupuncture. There's lots of options. And one, I think, pitfall of the medical healthcare culture that we're in is when you go to see a medical professional, sometimes they don't give you all the options available. They kind of steer you in this direction, don't really, open up, the information for all the different options and help you to make an educated decision on, what's going to be work best for you. So I say, like, you really have to be your own healthcare advocate. You really do. And you have to use your healthcare professionals as allies, and not that you're against each other, but how can I use this person as my ally in healthcare? And in where I'm committed to myself and my health and my life, and how can I use them as an ally, even if you don't agree with all of their, all of what they're saying. As far as physical therapy, it's just a really amazing profession, and it does really great stuff just using, the physical body, or just adding load to your body to help your body to become more resilient. There's a few factors we have to take into account. Like, who you are today, right now, is going to present different than who you were yesterday or tomorrow or 5 years ago. You're going to have different things. So as a physical therapist, I like to consider all the different factors that you're coming with today, and look at you in a different light than, another physical therapist at another different time. So we have to consider that first.
Yeah. And I mean, like, I believe in physical therapy very much as something that is very beneficial, and it's helped me out tons. And I mean, there are a lot of physical therapists in the world, and if the one that you have is not doing a great job, go find another one, because, like, it's just how much it can help you. And if you feel like you're not getting something, there's a reason. That should be some sort of signal in your head going off, because if you're going to physical therapy, you should be getting benefits. You shouldn't just be going there and not improving at all. And like, I do that with hypnosis. I'd much rather have someone, like, if they don't like me or connect with me or something of that nature, I'd rather have them go to another hypnotist than, try something else and being completely turned off to it, thinking that hypnosis just isn't that great, when it is. But I mean, it's on everyone to be able to understand that. And even though if your insurance isn't that great, you still have a lot of options to go to other providers, or even maybe other providers in the practice, or in the same in practice. Maybe just someone just isn't clicking with you, but if you find the right one that's willing to work with you, and I think it's also a trust with the patient into the provider, the physical therapist, doctor, and make sure that there's that trust there to be able to. So, I mean, the patient's putting the trust into physical therapist to make them feel better. And if the patient doesn't have that trust, it's kind of, I don't know, I feel like maybe the patient isn't able to relax fully, when, I mean, a lot of that stuff, you really need to be very relaxed. And
I think you bring up really great points. And the cool thing about physical therapy is you spend a lot of time with the therapist, much more time than you spend with doctors. So a lot of times you're able to really foster this relationship with your physical therapist, more so than some of the other healthcare providers that spend a lot less time with you. At the same time, are we getting the results that we want to get? And as our population is aging, a lot of our older folks, they do need physical therapy, right? And I work with older folks as well. I call them the forever athletes, the older folks that just want to play their sport forever and, be healthy and happy and active. And at the same time, there's a lot of physical therapists that can undertrain their athletes. And some of that comes from like this fear-based medical culture that we actually live in. There's a lot of fear, like, doctors will say you'll never be able to run again, or you'll never be able to do this or that, or all the things that you really want to do. And to be honest, it's just not true. Like, we're so resilient, our bodies are resilient, we're healing, we have the capacity to build muscle and do really great things. And sometimes, there is this balance between, doctors saying, limiting what you can and can't do, and then physical therapists like, well, should I load them? The doctor said not to load them as much, but I think that they should be loaded, but I don't really know how safe it is to really progress them and how quickly. And luckily in my practice, I'm not scared to load my patients and take a less conservative approach. And with athletes really need to be able to take on a lot of physical load in their sports. I look at loading in different ways, 6 different ways, if you want me to share some secrets around that. So we look at 6 different ways we can load our bodies. The first one is flexibility or mobility. So how can we, increase the range of motion or planes of motion that we can move in? Strength is another one. That's, being able to move force over a certain time. We have agility or coordination. Can we coordinate our movements? We have stability. Can we actually be stable? Can we hold our body in, one place in time? And then we have endurance. So how can we continue to generate force and movement over a longer period of time? And then power. How can we generate strength and force at a more rapid rate? So I look at these 6 categories and see, like, what do you need to do what do you need to develop in these 6 categories to get you to function in your life the way you want to function, right? Whether you're, a desk jockey sitting in your chair all day, you need a lot of postural support and stability, or whether you're, some kind of professional athlete. I even work with motorsports athletes. So, whether it's a car or, a motorbike or whatever, like, there's going to be a lot of different ways you need to load the body in order to decrease the gap between the deficits that you have and the performance that you're really looking for.
Yeah. And so then if you had your ideal doctor to work with, is there an ideal doctor? Like, you say sometimes you have someone refers you, and the doctor, you're just like, I don't like this doctor, or what they do, or how they're setting them up. Or, I mean, is there more of are you getting people that are into, or doctors that are into naturopathic health providing, or is that better for you? Or is it, doctors that, so I don't know, because another thing, doctor, if you don't like your doctor, go get a different doctor.
So you're speaking to, my relationship with different doctors. And
Right.
like, I have some really great relationships with doctors. Like, some of them are really great. They give me a lot of autonomy to practice how I want to and load up my patients. And then there's other doctors that are more conservative. The one that's the most problematic for me is the one that, will operate on the patient, send them initially to physical therapy. After like a month or 2, say, oh, you're fine, you don't need to go back to therapy. When that's actually the point that you actually do need to go back to therapy. That's like the most important part. Like,
Right.
just because you have your range of motion doesn't mean you're strong enough. And surgical recovery really takes longer than we think sometimes to be fully capable and not put ourselves at re-injury. So stopping therapy too soon can definitely be problematic and put you at a higher risk of injury in the future.
And so is that something that could be attributed to insurance trying to cut you out and get you to not be able to? Because I know like every however often, 6 weeks, 8 weeks or so, you have to do a reevaluation for the insurance. And so, I mean, is there times where you are,
Yeah.
I mean, you want to do more,
Yeah.
but then it's just like, oh, insurance won't do it.
When we talk about the healthcare system, some of the problems are in the actual system, and they're not really setting up the healthcare providers to really care really well for the patient. With the amount of productivity and load that they put on healthcare providers, there's, it's almost like assembly line of patients. You're just trying to get through as many patients as you can and bill as much as you can and give them as much as you can to kind of get them moving on and everybody through the door. So you don't have time to really spend with clients, and luckily physical therapists do. When you talk about insurance, though, insurance reimbursements for physical therapists are extremely low compared to a lot of doctors and other healthcare providers. And so some of the things that you come up against there is you might go to a physical therapy clinic and work more with an assistant or an aide. Assistants they're really great. They do have education. They can be really helpful, but an aide staff, they're just on the job training. So you're actually, paying for your physical therapy, working with an aide staff, because the reimbursements are so low, it's not really sustainable for the clinics to stay open. I personally don't take insurance, and I know that's problematic for some people, but at the same time, my clients are people that will invest in their health financially. And we do live in a culture that not everybody is willing to invest in their health. And when we break it down, like, how much money do you spend on Amazon and subscriptions like, Netflix or Hulu, or how much are you spending on alcohol per month? And a lot of times my services can be about the same as what people are spending on these things that aren't really contributing to the health and wellness of their life.
Right.
But it really takes something of someone to be able to really invest in their health. And, I do provide, I do provide a really, unique service with the mental and physical, addressing the mental physical side
Right.
of health and wellness. So that's just, and I think there's going to be more of a trend outside of insurance, because insurance, it's expensive and it doesn't pay for a lot.
Yeah. And so is it a percentage for each one then? Is that how that works? Or is it they only pay out this much, like for, per session, just kind of flat out across the board?
Yeah, it varies. I don't know how they come up with it. Yeah, they just, different insurances determine different rates and stuff like that. So that's confusing. And then dealing with the insurance and getting them to actually pay the provider is like a full-time job. And there's a lot of, a lot of things that make it challenging. However, if someone does want to use their insurance, I do spend time on the phone with them to say, like, this is going to be this is your best option if you don't choose me. You do have other options, and you can stay in your insurance network, and I'm going to point you to the best care that is out there under the care that I know that I'm going to provide that's superior to what they're going to get. But as a price point, it's just kind of like, do you want the gas station coffee or do you want the Starbucks coffee?
Right.
Do you want to spend the
And
99 cents or do you want, your $6 latte?
right. And that's important too. Cause I mean, yeah, when you tell people you don't have or that, you don't take insurance, that, if, yeah, I mean, like you said, there's ways to do it. I mean, like with hypnosis, a stupid one with smoking or something. Like people are like, well, do you take insurance? And I say no. And then I'm like, well, how much you spend on cigarettes a year? And it's like, okay, well, it costs a lot less than that. Like, oh, I don't want it. But okay, but you see that what you would be spending right there is what would be like the premium versus you just keep smoking. But I don't really like working with stop smoking.
Yeah.
Hypnosis is not my
Yeah,
thing.
that's a challenging group, to work with. Nicotine's highly addictive, just like sugar. Sugar is one of the
Right.
most addictive things out there. And it like both of those things are super challenging. And I have recommended hypnotherapy for some of my clients, and some clients have benefited from it. Some, I would either say people either benefit from it or they don't get a benefit. I wouldn't say it makes them worse. I've never seen hypnotherapy make anybody worse. So you'll either not get a benefit or you will get a benefit. So that's
Right.
good news from my experience.
Yeah. And I mean, it's really if you want it or not is what it's going to be, what it kind of boils down to. And same with physical therapy, like, especially afterwards, if they say keep doing exercises and you stop doing exercises afterwards. I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
I've done
So
that one once and I learned my lesson.
I try to set up people powerfully for what to expect, right? Some people I see for one session, and I say, you can get better on your own with these exercises, or you can get better a little quicker with, coming in here for, and I set them up. Like I saw this guy the other day, maybe 4 sessions would get him better once a week for like 4 weeks. And, put down the whole price for the whole package for the 4 weeks. He paid in advance. And when you kind of look at it that way, like, and look at what you're dealing with in your health, like you can see all of the parameters and all the information right in front of your face. And then it helps you to make this really educated decision. And it's not like this ongoing thing, like, oh my God, how long of therapy do I need?
Yeah.
Some people do like the do it yourself approach. They do like to say, like, okay, I'm going to give you these exercises. You go and do them on your own. And maybe we'll follow up in a month if it's not completely gone. Right.
Right.
So I give my clients lots of options. And then some clients, I'm like, no, like you do need support and health for the next 6 weeks, and hopefully we'll be pretty close, but I can't guarantee in that time frame that we'll be all the way there, but you're going to be a lot closer there than here. So it can be personalized, but I try to set them up so powerfully, whether they're, getting support from me, someone else, or if they just want that do it yourself approach. I give them anything that is going to set them up for success.
And so, I mean, so what do you see with people if they leave? Are people coming back to you later on down the road and coming for follow-up care, or are you just kind of like they're done and it's all up to them then, or kind of a combination of the two, or how's that work?
Yeah, I set myself up so that you can come back at any time you need support, even if it's just a phone conversation. If you need me to point you in the right direction, I'm here for you. And whatever your life looks like, I've talked to some clients that really wanted to hire me, and it wasn't really about the money. They were just too busy to really want to invest. And it's like, yeah, they were just like, they didn't have enough time. So they didn't have the time to invest. And so I said, when you have the time, I'm going to be right here.
Yeah.
So we're working with what life throws at you. And it's not wrong or bad. I'm not going to, shame you for not taking care of your health. I mean, it's your health and your life. Like, and I'm here to support you. I don't really like to work in a competitive approach to other healthcare providers, because just as I work with a lot of athletes and they're on teams, like our lives are set up in teams to help us
Right.
succeed. And sports, as you know, growing up for kids is so important, because what kids are learning on a team is to work together for a common goal. And you're not really getting that in the classroom that much, maybe here and there, but the classroom is about learning yourself and figuring it out and competing for grades with others. And it's not as about working towards a common goal together. And that's how we can look at different areas of your life. Even if, like, even in your job, you can look at this, like whether you're an employee or you're an entrepreneur and doing kind of your own thing. Even if you feel kind of solo, you still have a team of people around you that are there supporting you. And that's how I look at our healthcare and our health. You know, who is my team that's going to help me to keep my health, or make my health better, or keep my health what it is, or help support me when I need to be supported. And you're the captain of your team. You're
Yeah.
the captain and the coach. You get to pick the team. And if people aren't performing on your team, like, okay, you're not on the team anymore, or you're going to get like redshirted or benched or whatever, right? So you're going to sit on the bench for a while someone else is playing, right? And you get to kind of navigate that for yourself. So I'd love people to just be empowered that they're the captain of their team for their health and wellness.
And so then are you working with other, I mean, are there certain doctors that uh, refer to you that you have some sort of, um, open conversation with their clients that they're coming over to you? So you're able to kind of work both together on that common goal with them, or
Yeah, definitely.
is it, yeah.
Yeah, I have a lot of doctors that refer to me. A lot of the doctors, actually, I've invited them down to the facility that I work in. I work in a big gym. We have a lot of different. I'm in the San Francisco Bay Area,
Okay.
and I work out of a gym in San Carlos in the Peninsula. And it's cool because there's lots of different trainers there. I'm the only physical therapist. We have sports massage, we have skills coaches, we have a lot of different services. So I invite the doctors that I work with down to see the facility and see how we really support their patients and their athletes, so they really know like who we are and what we're doing and the options and the support that we give, so that they know they're not just sending their clients somewhere that they don't really know much about. So, you
Right.
know, it's always fun to really connect personally in this really busy, age of life, just in today's society, it's so busy. So to stop and take a moment to really connect with the doctors that I work with has been really, really fun.
And so then you said sugar earlier. So how much is sugar and other high inflammatory foods affecting your clients and other people that you see kind of just normal everyday life? Um, and is that something you try to address when people are coming in, to try to, limit those uh, inflammatory foods or drinks or whatever that they're consuming? Or is it, are you seeing it more or anything like that?
With the athletes that I work with, one of the big things for really young athletes is, you don't want to load up on a bunch of sugary stuff before a game. You're
Right.
gonna end up in a crash. It's gonna be, quick energy, and then you're gonna crash and then not have energy in the game. So eating some sugary treats at the end of the game would be way better than at the beginning of the game, especially with, our young athletes that are sugar rewarded driven. And but I don't do a lot of nutrition consulting and counseling. I actually, it's just, I haven't learned as much as someone that's studied it has. I
Sure.
don't, that's not really my wheelhouse. So I actually refer out to other people that are really skilled in nutrition. When we look, so there's, I'll give you some more, like a better idea of how we can develop athletes. And you, I mean, you can use this to your own life, to your own self. So when we look at the athlete, there's 4 different things that we can develop. We can develop their physical performance, the mental performance, the skill, and the strategy. So those 4 things. And then if we break down the physical performance even more, we have the actual physical performance, which I talked about, the 6 categories of flexibility, strength, power, endurance, agility, and stability. And then we look at rest and recovery, nutrition, hydration, and sleep. So I will counsel or support people around their sleep, their which is different than rest and recovery. But I counsel them on their rest and recovery, their sleep, their hydration, but I leave the nutrition to the nutritionist, the dietitian, the nutrition coaches. I have a lot of people that do that, and it can really, make or break an athlete, like the nutrition stuff. But that's not my number one. The physical performance is what I'm really good at.
So are there any other professionals that you're talking about? Are there any other ones that you like referring out to for certain things that be like you said, nutrition? Or are there any other things you do, send out for acupuncture or anything like that, or massage or
Yeah, I
something
refer
like
out
that?
for those things, especially the sports massage. I also refer out for the skill and the strategy training, which is different than the physical performance. Like the skill is the actual like skills for your sport. Like we're talking about basketball, like dribbling is a skill, shooting the ball into the basket is a skill. There's different strategies. So I refer out to skills coaches a lot for actual skill of the game. And like I said, it's a team approach. I'm not going to do everything. I don't want to do everything.
Right.
And if I did everything, well, for an example, like the parents out there, you're not going to be everything to your kid. You can't be their doctor and their dentist and their teacher and their coach and their parent and their friend and their
Huh.
sibling, and like you're not everything to your kid, right?
Right.
Just like a coach isn't everything to every player. Like the coach can't really offer everything to every player. And if we look at professional sports, I mean, each athlete has a team of people that are supporting them. So like I continue to use that support. Like I'm not going to be everything to each of my clients, and I don't expect you to be everything to one person either. So let's see what team is going to work really the best.
Yeah. And then, so is all your work then in person? Because I mean, I assume it is, but I can't say for sure. Or are there some people that you, because I mean, I assume it's kind of hard to do most of what you do not in person. And I mean, was that I mean, during shutdown, was that, I mean, how did that change what you were doing?
The pandemic really helped healthcare to be delivered online and be able to reach more people in different places. And I do operate in person and online.
Oh,
So
okay.
I offer physical therapy in person and online in the state of California because that's where I am and that's where I'm licensed. So I can't technically I can't give you physical therapy if you're living outside of this state, even online, outside of my license, unless I got a license in the state that you're living in. But I do mental performance coaching for athletes. I have a 6-week program where I'm going to coach you one-on-one online in that 6 weeks. I don't do anything less than 6 weeks of that, or you don't get the full benefit of the program. So I can do that really anywhere in the country or in the world. So yeah, if you need support for, mental performance, I am here to support you. I get some referrals for people that want sports mental performance related to their relationships, their life, their businesses. So I do have some referrals kind of outside of that realm, and I can do that online. The other thing I do online is I can do some physical performance screenings. So I can do a lot of physical performance screenings for athletes online to really see where they are, what their strengths, weaknesses are, and what they could develop to decrease the gap between where they are and where they need to perform at their peak. So I do some of that online as well.
So how does that work? What's something like that? Is it, someone showing you how much they can stretch, putting it up to the camera, putting their, I don't know, their thumb or something up to there and saying, I can move it like this, or is that kind of how
Yeah,
it works?
exactly. We're on
Cool.
a Zoom call kind of like this, and I have them raise their arms up all the way, and I see if they're kind of equal or unequal, if they can, they're pretty equal or one's kind of sticking out to the side. So I look at the range of motion. I have them do functional movements, squatting down, um, you know, movements with just one leg and then the other, arm movements. I mean, there's so much you can do. Probably, 90 or 95% you can do by just looking and observing.
Cool.
And I'm also, there's technology that's always being developed. So there's some cool technology out there that's actually measuring some of these joint angles online and reporting them back. So
Oh,
I'm working with a
wow.
startup company right now that's developing some better on intake forms, like that you go through this intake process to make the intake process as painless as possible. So there's not that much paperwork and stuff, and it's really concise. And there's this video capability that will measure joint angles, so that you can show your physical therapist a lot, and they can see even more than what they can see with their eye on the screen. But the screen's also the AI is gonna generate the joint angles and a lot of information that's very helpful to use.
So then to add to that, what has AI been able to assist with you uh, with physical therapy besides that? Are there, are you, I don't know, are there, when you're doing plans like what's it called? Like not a
A
progress
treatment
plan,
plan.
a treatment plan. Are you able to do that and be able to pull some other things out that maybe might have, you know, kind of having a second set of eyes on what you're doing to be able to grab more and be able to have a nice plan just sort of pop up instantaneously? Is that helpful, or is that something that's, or that would, uh, you know, complement what you're doing and what the program is seeing with the angles of what can be moved, and sort of able to interpret that, yeah, as a second set of eyes as yours? Is that something that's happening, or what is happening or doing after not aftercare, but after appointment summaries? Is that something that's helping with that, to kind of get rid of sort of the busy work, I guess, to be able to have more time to focus on the person themselves? Is that something that's happening, or is that nothing that you want to have anything to do with, or what?
So in my practice, I'm looking at this mental and physical technology, right? So when we jump into, computer technology even more, and how that's going to add to my practice, it's a really great question. There's some really great stuff out there, But just collecting data and having more data points isn't always helpful. Sometimes it's
No.
just more work to do. And that's not just for me. It's for a lot of professions out there. I mean, we're collecting data at like huge rates, like really quick rates. And not all the data is helpful. Not all the data is useful. And some of the data actually is creating more work for us.
Such
So
as,
yeah, for example, if we look at range of motion of, our neck, that's going to tell me some things where there's a restriction, but it doesn't tell me if there's a restriction because of the joint or the muscle or the nerve without some more data attached to it. So if you just give me range of motion measurements without me looking at it and without me asking questions, I'm going to have to relook at it anyways. So if you take a video of someone doing these motions and you just feed me the numbers, it's not going to tell me all the things that I need to know. And then I need to reassess it all over again. So why would I want to use that technology when it takes time to look at it and I'm going to have to reassess it all over again?
right.
Yeah.
And
So that's not really helpful. So I'm actually working with some different companies right now, some different startups that are trying to use the technology to really help my practice and to give me the information that's going to decrease the workload and help me provide the best care for my patients while preserving that human connection in my
right.
practice that's so important for me to conserve in this day of age of there's all this technology and it's really separating for us on the level of humanity. And to
Yeah.
preserve those human connections in my practice is super important. And how can I actually use the data to really help me and not just give me more work?
Right. And I think people, uh, patients, a lot of the time look more at it as separating the two and rather than, that it's like, oh, this is just, you said not human like, and it's something where they should be looking at it a different way, but then it's having to be able to bridge that gap and be able to explain to them that this is beneficial and it's going to be helping out and making your job so you can pivot and be able to work with them in a more streamlined way to be able to help them more than you could right now when you're not, if you're only, 100% of their work, if 20% of it is paperwork, and you can cut that down to, you know, 10 or so, and then be able to use that 10% more to be able to help someone get better. I mean, I think it's going to take a little bit of time, but much like with the pandemic and everyone was so afraid of Zoom. I got on Zoom in 2019 when I moved to Minnesota because I thought I'd be snowed in for 6 months out of the year, and office space was crazy expensive. And I was working with some people who didn't like leaving their house. So Zoom became a thing, but a lot of people were very intimidated by using Zoom and not thinking they'd be getting the same level of care. But then the pandemic hit and it became totally acceptable, and everyone saw how it's pretty much the same as, in real life. And I think it's just going to take a little bit of time for people to adjust and realize that it's stuff that's there to help them and make your experience and their experience, more importantly, more enjoyable and beneficial.
Yeah, so how can we use our technology in our favor? And like I said, preserve the human connection that we do crave in life.
Yeah. And so then, how are people going to find you on the internet or anywhere in the world? Or how are they going to find you, contact you, everything of that
Yeah,
nature?
you can find me on my website. I'll give you the short link. It's bit/ly. I'm sorry, I messed that up. Let me say that again. It's bit.ly/, B, capital L, and then athlete in lowercase letters, ATHLETE.
Okay. And yeah, I'll put that in the show notes here. So you can, if you want to remember that, whoever's listening.
You can also
And then,
find
yeah.
on Instagram at DRLAURELPT.
Okay. Easy.
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay. Well, hey, Dr. Laurel, it was great getting to meet you, talk with you, and learn about the other side of physical therapy other than being the patient. It's good to have as the doctor's point of view and how things are going and having a different approach.
Yeah, thanks, Rusty. Can I leave your listeners with a few points before we leave?
You have 6 if you'd like them. Normally I give out 1, but I'm going to give you 6. You can do 3, but you have up to 6.
Okay, awesome. So the first thing is be your own healthcare advocate. Number 2 is use your medical professionals as a team and grow a strong team that's going to support you. And the third thing is sometimes you do have to invest in your health. That's going to get more benefits much more quickly. And it's going to prevent you from wasting a lot of time and money on healthcare that's not reaching your ultimate goal of helping you with your health. And the last thing is you have one life to live, so live it healthy and well and happy.
I think that's important too. Yeah. I mean, that's it. You just have to, you have the chance to enjoy it. So yeah, be there and be in the right place. And so,
Exactly.
yeah. So yeah, thank you so much, everyone. Check out Dr. Laurel, and yeah, have a good rest of your day. And thanks for being up early this morning and
Yeah,
ready to
thanks,
go.
Rusty. Yeah,
Yep.
thank
All right.
you.
You bet. Talk to you later. All right. That's Dr. Laurel Mines. Check her out. You don't have to go into the office now to get help. You can just be right here, right now, like the beginning of the show. Right here, right now, special guest, Dr. Laurel Mines. So thank you everyone for listening. Like, share, subscribe, pass it around, hit the little ding bell on the YouTube or the Rumble, or you can listen anywhere you listen to podcasts. You can find this anywhere. You can watch it on YouTube or Rumble. I'll have links, I assume, on there, but you can just type in the public access podcast or Rusty Diamond. And you might get there's other Rusty Diamonds in there, but they kind of, I don't know if they suck or not, but they're just not as cool as I am, I assume. Maybe they are, and I'll have them on. One day I might just have an all Rusty Diamond show and just find all the Rusty Diamonds on. Oh my God, I'm going to do this. I'm going to find all the Rusty Diamonds and start booking them on this show and say, hey, have you had this name since before 2010? And we'll see. So thank you everyone for listening here on the Quantum Global Broadcasting Network, QGBN, with other shows such as When the Gloves Come Off, the Thinking Man's Pro Wrestling Podcast, This Is It with Lizzie, and Saved by the Ben, brought to you by Stone Reese Productions, Fred Ben Sandwiches Fuck, Hardcore Comedy, Hypnosis is Great, and Sock'emUp.org. And that is the show, man. Boom.
It's Rusty Diamond, motherfucker. It's Rusty Diamond, motherfucker.
Ernest! Ernest! Ernest!
Yes, Pee-wee.
You brought the snacks, right?